Well, let's talk about the migrants and the ECHR, shall we? Because get this, 400 people crossed the channel today in about 8 separate boats. And you know where we go with this conversation now. The people that crossed today, pretty much there or thereabouts, give or take, would be enough people to fill the Bibi Stockholm just for today's arrivals. So people now are up in the ante about this conversation about, right, that's it, immediately out of the ECHR. Where do you stand on it?
Yeah, we should have done that a long time ago. I mean, that's my policy in my party, the Heritage Party, and the other people have said that. There's even people in the Conservative Party who are saying that now. I know they're a minority voice, but I think it's sensible because this is the thing that the human rights lawyers use time and time again to stop the government or the Home Office from deporting people who've come here illegally. And so any legal block, and this is a legal block, which they use, we need to come out of it.
Yeah, but what's the consequence? Because the ECHR isn't purely just about migration. It's not just about, you know, asylum claims. There's a lot more to it than that. So, yes, I can see to some extent the argument about saying, get it out, get us out of it now to stop those boat crossings. Great. But at what cost? Yeah,
well, the thing is, the ECHR was set up by British lawyers in 1950 to help the countries in Europe that have been devastated by Hitler and National Socialism. We don't actually need it in this country because we have all the framework of law that the ECHR is actually based on. We have Magna Carta, we have the Act of Settlement, we have the Bill of Rights, we have the Anti-Slavery Acts, we abolished slavery. That's one of the clauses of the ECHR.
So you're telling me you think that we could exit the ECHR and there would be no material impact on any of our rights and all the rest of it in this country?
No, we wouldn't. We have common law as well. So that our fundamental freedoms and our human rights are already written into British law, whether it's English or Scottish, over the centuries. So we don't need it. We need to get out of it because we do have this problem now, which was never envisaged in 1950 when it was written, of this mass migration and people playing the system. And that's what we need to get out of, because that is a massive problem for this nation at the moment.
Well, I absolutely agree. I completely think we should be out of the ECHR for all the same reasons that I supported Brexit back in 2016. I think if you believe in national sovereignty, which I do, then the only people who should have a say in the laws that govern this country should be British people. We should be able to vote out of office the people who have the power to make the laws that govern our lives. So the idea that there's some international body that is able to determine what happens in this country, I think is absolutely outrageous. But having said all that, I don't think it will solve the problem of small boats, and it won't solve the problem of illegal migration.
So why are they saying it then?
Well, because I think it's being used as an excuse. I think there is no political will in this country from the people who actually are in charge, whether that's from lawyers, government officials, civil servants, people in the media. I think there is no political will to end migration, high levels of migration to this country.
Will also well a brave man?
I think they talk the talk, but actually no, because if you look at what's happened in this government in relation to migration, obviously we put most focus on people coming over in small boats because that's a very visible sign, but actually legal levels of migration have risen phenomenally, and we see that all the time whenever there's some kind of demand from business, be that fruit picking or, you know, pouring cups of coffee, you know, the first call goes up, oh, we need higher levels of migration, and more often than not, the government's bowing down to it and saying, yes, OK, you can let more people come here to fill that gap in the economy, rather than training up people in Britain to do those jobs.
It's a little bit of a sledgehammer to crack a nut, because if people wanted to, surely we could do things like the turn back operation, what they did when they had Operation Sovereign Borders over in Australia. So surely there are things that we could actually do to stop people entering into the British waters, entering into this system in this way in the first place. I just don't know if it feels like a kind of like quite a radical solution when all of the other things haven't yet been explored. But one of the things that people will say about pushback and turn back is they'll say, Michelle, when you start pushing back these boats or towing them back or whatever, people are at risk of drowning. Now, this notion about drowning, I don't know if anyone saw the Diane Abbott tweet So just to catch you up with the story, Lee Anderson, he was in hot water a couple of days ago because he was saying that if these people, these asylum seekers, illegal asylum seekers, didn't want to go on Bibi Stockholm, they should, his words, F off back to France. Anyway, he got in loads of trouble for that. And you will be aware as well that 41 migrants died in Italy. Diane Abbott very quickly responded and said, in response to that, that these migrants have indeed effed off, but she used the right words, but I'm being professional because it's tea time, to the bottom of the sea, basically. And she's had a backlash for that as well.
Yeah, look, it's unsafe to come across the English Channel, of course. People are taking a risk to do that, but they're doing it because they get rewarded.
People didn't die in the Channel, obviously.
No, obviously they were talking about people in Italy. There have been people who died in the Channel coming across occasionally, but it's a very, very small percentage of the people who do try to come across the Channel. And people, they do try to come across when it's calm and it's sunny and the waters are placid. Obviously, so they've got a higher chance of getting here, but it is still risky. But people do risk this because they get rewarded for it. They get hotel accommodation, they get free cash, they get free healthcare if they bring in children as well. Not that people come on the boats with children, but people coming other ways. The children get free education as well, especially if they anchor themselves here and bring families in from elsewhere. So, yeah, the Australian system, that was good. We need to do that here as well. Push the boats back.
Do you know what I don't understand? And, OK, you can say, oh, Michelle, you're thick or whatever. But if someone was in France and they want to, and they reckon they've got a legit asylum claim and all the rest of it, why would they spend, I don't know what it is, 4 or 5 grand or whatever on this dinghy with these people smugglers? Why won't they just get on a EasyJet or whatever, come into the country legally on a plane and then present at an embassy or whatever and say, right, I'm being tortured and I'm not going to return, and camp up on the doorstep of the asylum office? What am I missing?
Well, you can't. I mean, this is why we now have border controls in other European countries. So when you go on holiday and you want to come back into the UK after you've been abroad, you have your passport checked in France or wherever it is in the airport.
No, what I'm saying is, if you're a legitimate asylum seeker, so i.e. you're not just going to chuck all your stuff on the board, overboard, and make things complicated and perhaps not exactly true. So if you are what you say you are and you're being persecuted, tortured, whatever, so you've got your passport, you've got your papers, why wouldn't you just get on a plane, pretend you're going on holiday?
You wouldn't be allowed to. Well, because...
Of course you can get on a plane.
But no, you can't, not from everywhere around the world. You need visas.
No, in France. So if you're in France, you can get a flight to the UK.
Not without a French passport. If you had a French passport, you could. But if you've got a passport from Sudan, you cannot get on a plane in France and fly to the UK because the British passport control based in France will be saying, no, you need a visa. Where's your visa? In order to be able to come here, and you wouldn't be able to get that visa. I mean, this is the problem with the system.
Albania then. So all these people that were doing it from Albania, they can surely have got a flight to the UK. This is what I'm sure that there's an obvious thing that I'm missing, and I'm sure you're all yelling at your screen saying, Michelle, you are so stupid, you don't understand. But I don't get why.
You see,
I don't know if there are any direct flights from Tirana to London, but if they are, I think the Albanians would need a visa from the UK to actually be let on the plane in Albania.
Right. So, and then I am obviously not encouraging criminality, but if you can get into this kind of underworld where you're in this world of these smugglers, then I'm sure it cannot be beyond the wit of man to get a fake piece of paper.
You could bribe the staff at the airport. But
I'm sure lots of them do kind of have fake passports.
Anyway, you know what? I'm going to shut up before I get myself into a spot of trouble knowing me. But I don't know. You tell me, what am I missing? Get in touch, gbviews@gbnews.com.